Hello everybody and welcome back to Flying with OverKill F-16C for DCS World, and today we're going to be looking at the ACM or Air Combat Maneuvering Modes, basically close air combat. We're going to take a look at the different HUD symbology. We're going to take a look at the different dogfight modes, the ACM radar options, as well as the Joint Helmet Mounted Cueuing system. Alright, so without further delay, let's go ahead and jump right after it. There's quite a bit to go over. I'm going to do my best to get it all in as quickly as I can while giving you guys the information you need. So first thing, we're going to go into our adjust controls, and we're going to want to make sure that we have these three buttons mapped somewhere. Dogfight center. This will return us, after entering a dogfight mode, this will return us to whatever the previously selected master mode was. So if we were in navigation prior to going to dogfight mode, if we were in air to air and air to ground, when we go back to dogfight center, we'll go back to the previously selected master mode. Okay, then we have dogfight forward. What this is going to do is put us into a close air combat mode that is going to provide us access to the gun funnel as well as the missile systems. And then missile override, what that's going to do is leave the HUD in its currently selected configuration while switching us, well, actually I'll change it to air mode, but also give us a flood mode for anything within 10 miles of the aircraft. It will lock up. Okay, so let's go ahead and that will be missiles only. Okay, so let's go ahead and start seeing what some of this does. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here, and I'm going to put us into dogfight forward. Okay, so this is the dogfight mode, and you can see we've already locked something up. That didn't take long, but that's all right. Let me get our camera squared away here. Let's lock it down, and let's pause the simulator. All right, so obviously you can see where our target acquisition circle is over here. You can see that we have a fighter at 29 degrees off our right-hand side. Here is the gun funnel and the trace giving us an indication of what needs to be changed. We have the missile track sight, and there's a little diamond right in the center. We have our current G-load on the aircraft, current airspeed, altitude. Now, we also have our missile closure indicator, right? So this is the aircraft's position with the closure rate of 140 knots is what we're gaining on them on, so we are hauling butt over him. Distance at 10 nautical miles. We have a current time to target of 37 seconds if fired at its current position. Now, we don't have to worry about time till active. The nice thing about our current position is basically when the missile goes active, or the missile will go active as soon as we let it loose because we're in so close. Okay, now here is our turn no escape, or actually I think that might be, it's turn no escape, and this is the arm min right down here. Okay, here you have your current master arm settings, so we can see that we're armed, we're in dogfight mode. Here is our current bearing to the bullseye as well as distance to bullseye, and then the bottom line here is our current distance to the target. So we can see our target's at 8.7 nautical miles, which we can also see verified up here at the top. Okay, and then down here on the radar as well. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys is you can see that we see ACM and we see a 20. Now, we are a couple different options that we're going to see down here. We can see 20, we can see 60, we can see bore. Okay, now those are going to seem very familiar for anyone who's flown some of the other aircraft here once I explain them to you in a second. There are three different modes. Now you can either change them by hitting the OSB button here. However, that's not particularly practical. When in a dogfight, you don't want to be reaching for the OSBs, but if that's your thing, go for it. But you have the 20, which what the 20 is a 30 degree by 20 degree HUD scan zone. So basically think of it as your horizontal scan is the best way that I can think to sort of make a comparison. But it's the HUD scan is what it is. So it's 30 degrees on the horizontal, 20 degrees on the vertical. Then what we have, if we unpause real quick, is we have a 60. The 60 degrees is going to be our vertical scan, okay? And how the vertical scan region works is the total of 60 degrees, but we're going to have 23 degrees above the HUD's gun cross. So here's our gun cross. It's going to be 23 degrees on the vertical, and the, what would that be, 57 degrees down on the, or 57, Jesus, 37 degrees down on the downing on the vertical side. okay, and then 10 degrees on the horizontal. So very narrow on the horizontal, but very large on the vertical range. Now, the other thing that I will tell you is these are all supposed to be effective within 10 nautical miles. We should be able to lock up any target. I do think the vertical scan is bugged, as I have not been able to get an acquisition since the latest patch. So I don't know if that's something new. And again, no shot on ED for that. That's not, you know, that's we fly open beta. That's things are going to happen. But I do think that that's an issue, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and try to use the vertical scan for a second, then we'll talk about the others. So I'm going to go ahead. I think I have my autopilot on. Let's turn that off. There we go. So, and let's actually, you know what, let's switch our missiles for a second. I'll show you guys real quick. So remember, if we use our pinky button or nose wheel steering button, if we tap it, you can see down on the storage page, I'm switching between the different stations. You can see in the top right there, we see 2A9 X-ray. That is the indicator that we have the AIM-9 X-ray selected. I'm going to press and hold my nose wheel steering button, and you can see I've now switched to the AMRAAM. I'm going to pull the throttle way off here. We're getting real close. These guys are obviously not going as fast as I thought they were. So let's see here. So this guy's certainly well within 10 nautical miles. Let's test that with a TMS forward. Alright, so that's our bore sight mode, and you can see we picked him up right away. Okay, so he's definitely within inside our range here. We've got him at 9. Well, he's just now braking. He's at 9.5 miles. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and go back. So we rejected that target, but we're inside 10 miles. Whoa, what was that? That was weird. Let's see if we can grab someone a little closer. Maybe one of these guys over here. Alright, so we got two that are fairly close together here. Definitely within inside our 10-mile limit. I'm going to hit TMS down again. Yeah, and they will not lock up. Let's go TMS right. Well, he's at 7.5 nautical miles. Yeah, so I do not think the vertical scan is currently functioning. I do think that there's a bug going on with it. So hopefully that's something that will be rectified, because it's extremely handy in both in a vertical fight and in the dogfight. If you are in a tight turn with another aircraft, okay, so let's say that we're on the, let me bring her over, you're doing a pull on an aircraft like this, right? That vertical scan range is really nice, because 23 degrees above the gun cross, so right in this region, you're still going to be able to pick them up. Okay, and then obviously if you fall lead on the aircraft, you know, you can grab them quickly without actually having visual acquisition. Just sort of pull your turn back and they'll fall right into your HUD line. So don't just use the vertical scan for vertical fights. Don't be afraid to use it in a turn fight. It really does make a difference. All right, so let's go ahead and move on from vertical scan. Clearly it's not working, and that's all right. We'll be patient. It'll be addressed before we know it. And if I'm doing something wrong, guys, by all means, call it out. I don't know what it would be. It's an auto acquisition mode. It should be picking them up automatically. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to let's go back to TMS forward. This is going to be our bore sight mode again. And you can see that gun cross popped, or the bore sight cross popped up right here before we locked. And it's basically a square like this is what you want to think about. Right about here. Anything that falls within that range, you're going to lock it up. Okay, and again, you can see that we've already got acquisition here. We're at 170 knots closure rate. We've passed the point at which the missile is going to go active, as we can tell by that little circle here. Time to impact is going to be 24 seconds. All right, our distance to target is 7.5 miles. So really, all we can do at this point is let one loose. So we're going to go ahead and do Fox 3 on this guy. Weapons release. Missile away. And you can see we get 2 timers up on the screen right now. So what this is if we fire another missile, it's time to impact, and the currently fired missile is time to impact. And that one's already gone active, so I'm going to go ahead and just hit TMS down to break that lock there. Now let's go ahead and take a look at TMS right again. So again, this is the horizontal. This is going to be our HUD scan, and we've already picked one up here, but it's on our other side. I'm going to reject, go back in there again. Try to grab this guy here. There we go. Picked up another one. Again, same information. 220 knots closure there. Time to impact 13 seconds. Let's go Fox 3. Alright, missile away. Alright guys, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Joint Helmet Mounted Cueuing system and how to use it with the missile system. So we're going to turn the Symbology initializer up, and now anytime that you pass out of the HUD field of view or pass out of the cockpit instrument field of view, you will get the HMD up on your display. Now let's go ahead and talk about what the displays are at the moment. Let's go ahead and lock our camera, pause the system. Alright, so up here at the top we have our current G-load on the aircraft, current airspeed, master arm condition, so it's set to arm, master mode selected, we're in nav mode, and bearing and distance to the bullseye, so we're at 154, or a bearing of 154 at 065 miles. We have our heading tape down here at the bottom with currently selected heading. We have our targeting reticle for the HMD, current altitude set. Here we have our current barometric altitude calculated distance to the currently selected waypoint in this condition. However, there's quite a few that can pop up here. You have F for the fire control radar system, T for the targeting pod using the passive range acquisition, and then also L for the laser, meaning that the laser is being fired and giving you your range information. Here we have our currently selected waypoint and distance to the selected waypoint based on straight line. Alright, so now let's go ahead and look into the firing system using the HMD. Alright, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and unpause the sim, is we're going to go into dogfight forward. Now I'm going to zoom us in for a second. I'm going to pause the simulator and take a look at a couple things. So by going dogfight forward or aft, automatically you switch into the AIM-9 X-ray. Okay, you can see the AIM-9 is currently selected. You can see the cooling setting has now been activated. This cools the seeker to make it more sensitive to warm targets out in front of it. If we do not use the dogfight switch, okay, this will also say warm, which I'll show you in a bit. Okay, slave indicates that the AIM-9 will be slaved to the radar lock. If we change this, right now the sim is paused, but the option is if I click this, it will change to bore, meaning it will follow the bore side of the aircraft, and you can actually hear it go dun 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 dun, and then when a target pops in front of it, it goes beep, that's its lock tone. And again, the currently two selected station, or two available stations that have the AIM-9 available. Alright, so now let's go ahead and real quickly see how to use it to lock a target up. Alright, so I'm going to unpause our camera, unpause the sim. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. You can see it already locked something up over there. We're going to go TMS aft to unlock it. I'm going to come right here to this guy here. I'm going to give us a lock here. I'm going to use my cage uncage switch. Okay, now you can hear how the tones are changing. That means that the seeker has acquired the target. You can fire the AIM-9 X-ray with up to 80 degrees off bore sight. So 80 degrees from the center of the aircraft, or the center of the camera. And we're going to go ahead and use our weapons release now. And we should see our AIM-9 go and chase that guy down. And slammo. Okay. Alright, so again, it's pretty simple to use it, and we can use this with any of the missiles. So let's go ahead and use nose wheel steering long. You can see we switched down there into the AIM-120. Let's go ahead and let's turn our aircraft a bit. Let's grab that guy right there. Okay, and let's go ahead and Fox 3. And again, you just simply put your cursor over, or your reticle over the desired target. TMS up. Now, if you already have a target locked, the first TMS up won't work, so you have to go TMS up again once you acquire it. Fox 3 again. We're in a little close. I don't know if we're going to catch this guy. Let's see if that missile can pull it off. Boom! There we go. All right. So it's a real quick and easy way to acquire your targets, which is really handy. Now let me go ahead and back out here a minute, and I'll show you guys what the AIM-9 configuration is without using the radar system. Alright, so what I've done here is I've gone into the FCR and put it into standby mode, so the fire control radar isn't currently doing anything. Okay, now what we're going to do next here is we're going to go into air-to-air mode. Now you can see the AIM-9 X-ray is currently and it reactivated. Let's go ahead and just shut the fire control radar off for now. I don't mind that. And what you can currently see here is since we did not use the dogfight mode, All right, that's why we're seeing that the screen here is slightly different. You see this warm, okay? Warm is meaning that the cooler is not, or the seeker head is not being cooled. I'm not sure what it is on the F-16, honestly, I didn't look it up, but I know for the F-18 there's enough coolant on board the AIM-9 X-ray, and I would imagine this is missile specific, not aircraft specific, but there's enough coolant to cool the seeker for, I believe it's 3 hours. So you don't want this cooling all the time. But it is very important to make sure you set it to cool. So we're going to unpause and we're going to check this guy here and make sure it goes into cool. And we can use slave in the aspect of using the radar, but since we've turned the radar off, we're going to go ahead and change that to bore sight. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is unlock our camera. And things get a little bit different here. And the tones you're hearing is the seeker picking something up. Okay. So the seeker is following the helmet's point of view. So what we can do here is still acquire our target. Okay, I've hit my cage uncage button, which is why we've got the solid lock now. But let's say we don't want that guy. He may be out of our reach now. Let's try this guy. Okay, cage uncage. There we go, got it. Fox 2. Okay, so the same principles as before. Okay, I'm going to try to pull our speed back a little bit here. So I'm going to hit my cage uncage button here to recage to the new seeker. There we go, Fox 2. And splash. So it's just as easy, even when you're not using the radar to guide the missile in. Okay. It's just a matter of you have to be a little bit faster on the controls, but when the radar is turned off, that means that you can still use your joint helmet mounted system, okay, but just listen to the tones, okay? It's really important to listen to the tones that you're being given. That tat 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 is just the seeker being up and alive, okay? Your first solid tone, okay, the seeker has tracked something, and then when you cage uncage it, that real high pitch means the seeker's locked on and you're ready to shoot. Okay, so it's seeker tone, grab over, fly over your, or look over your target. You get that high pitched tone. Cage uncage, so uncage the missile. You'll get that really high pitched tone. Once you get that high pitched tone, let her loose. Okay. Now, real quickly, we're going to take a look at the gun. Now, we're going to be using the gun with the radar acquisition mode on. As it would, I would imagine you would typically be, but the gun funnel principles are going to be the same regardless. So what's going to happen is these fighters are going to start going into a turn. I'm going to try to pull in behind them so that way you guys can see the funnel activity and how it all works. We're going to be using dogfight forward for this, as that's going to be the most prominent way of using the air-to-air gun. I mean, you're going to want to be using that dogfight forward switch in pretty much most ACM engagements. Aircraft are starting to maneuver here. So what we're going to do is going to go dogfight forward. I'm going to go ahead and deselect the AMRAAM. Now our objective here when looking at the gun sight, okay, you can see we have our target selected. And what we're looking for is, you can see there's a plus sign right here. There's going to be a plus and a circle as we get closer. And the objective is to get the aircraft's wingtips with inside the funnel boundaries. Okay. And then have the gun cross inside, or inside the fuselage of the aircraft. Okay. So it's okay if the wingtips go out past the funnel. Okay. We just need to make sure that they're at least tip to tip. Okay. So let me show you here. Let's back that up a bit. And there he goes. Let's see if we can hopefully get a better situation here. Now we're getting close. So let's go ahead and just go for this guy here. There's one. And there's two. Okay, so I know that's not the greatest of demonstrations. It's a little difficult when using the gun cross unless you're actually fighting with someone. But for example, like here, you know, if we were pulling on a target, okay, we'd have my plus sign, we'd have our, if we have a target logged up, we'd have our plus sign, we'd have our circle, we'd be pulling against an aircraft. We'd want to make sure that his wings, that he's nice and close, so his wings are at the very least coming just outside the gun funnel at any location here. As long as the plus and the circle sign are on the aircraft, you squeeze the trigger and grab him. Okay, it's really not too difficult. Just takes practice. Which, like I said, in the multiplayer lately, it's been real hard to simulate because I can't get the multiplayer, I can't get the AI aircraft to do what I need them to do. Like, I can't. They're being real interesting lately, and I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, guys, so I hope you've enjoyed this air-to-air series for the F-16C Viper for DCS World. There will be more to come. Next, we're going to start taking a look at the targeting pod, and then we're going to look into dropping some bombs. All right, so stay tuned, guys. There's a lot more to come. If there's any questions or anything that I may have omitted by mistake when talking about the air-to-air systems, by all means, please let me know. I'll be sure to rectify that with a new video. My goal is to obviously give you guys as much information as I can. Please remember, I don't know everything. I am learning just as much as you guys are. I'm just trying to share the knowledge that I do have to get people up and rolling. So thank you for all the continued support, and I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.